Good morning, flower friends. Welcome back to Flower Patch. We today are going to check in on the DIY greenhouse and we are going to see if everything that I had planned or wanted to do with it is working. So first of all, just look. Can you see up here? Let me look. First of all, I wanted to make sure you could see how the volunteer morning glories are just climbing up and putting on a show for me. So it really gussies up the plainness. I just got dripped on. We never get rain in the summer. Anyways, how it's just so pretty climbing up there. I had planned, and I did put, see, a climbing rose over here, but this portion doesn't get a lot of full sun, so I don't think climbing roses will work here unless I find one that does well in a lot of shade. And I know there are some varieties that will do pretty good in part shade. And once it got up there, getting extra sunlight would work. I'm gonna have to get an umbrella for my camera. Anyways, so, and look at these, like this, a friend just gave these to me yesterday and I just think they're gorgeous. And I'm trying to figure out what to put inside of them. Something, I don't want to obscure the hanger, so it would have to be something that just kind of bloomed up here rather than going hanging all down, but be pretty. Or I was also thinking of putting little like solar light sconces in those so that it would be a light instead of a plant hanger, and let the plants that are climbing up. I'm going to bring it up close. Now this right here is a cup and saucer vine that I started indoors in the greenhouse this last winter, and I plopped it in the pot here with this rose. It's not blooming yet, and I don't know if it needs more sun or if it just needs more time, but it's all the way up to there as well. So I'm hoping if the season carries on for very long. Now we can get our first frost in October, early October, and I don't know if I would get any blooms from it before then. So I just see no evidence, whoops, my glasses, no evidence of blooms coming on it. But it is a pretty vine, even without the blooms. Let me look. I don't even know if I would know where they would. Oh yes, there's a bloom right there. Okay, yay. Oh no, is that? Yes, it is. Sorry, this is my first time growing cup and saucer vines, so I wasn't sure where I could expect maybe a bloom to appear, but that looks like a little bud. So that would be, it's supposed to be purple, I think. So that will be really pretty here. And this is my James Galway rose down here that I put here in this pot. I left it in the pot because I did not know if it would do well here, as well as it keeps the gophers from eating it. Now before we go into the little greenhouse, this plot here is the raised bed that is protected from gophers. Wire underneath. Let me get down here so I can look at you in the camera. But I have peppers back here. These are the habanada and the that's a heatless habanero, and the natapino, which is a heatless jalapeno. But I made the mistake of putting these big, not old, the marigolds. And I did not realize really that the marigolds got this tall. So let me show you how tall they are. So this is the raised bed down here, and these have got to be, 3 feet tall. And so the sun comes from this direction up here. So these kind of they do block a lot of sunlight getting on the peppers, which we know peppers love a lot of light. But they are very, very pretty. These are like the Cracker Jack. There's a white and a yellow. I thought it was orangier. Let me show you down over here. So here's the yellow, and then here's the white. The white haven't really gotten big and round and fluffy. Now, I will admit the soil that I put in this raised bed was just, I don't know, just stuff from around, like emptying pots into it and what have you. And then I topped it up with a little chicken debris and then planted it and called it good. So I did put some of the common buckwheat in here, and I've been cutting it back. So that should be helping the soil too. But everything here Just kind of had to make do with what I had in there. So it probably wasn't the best of soils, but everything is growing well. It's just, like I said, the flowers of the marigold over here, the white one, just haven't been that impressive to me. And who knows, it could have been our weird June and spring that was so cool. And just, I thought they'd be bigger and rounder. So that's that. This raised bed is one of the very tall ones, and I have enjoyed having things at this height for picking lettuce, and I need to trim back that basil and make some yummy pesto. I have a recipe on my website that I absolutely love. And also, a friend of mine, pine nuts have gotten so expensive that she started using walnuts. So I was going to try that and see if I like that pesto with walnuts. And there's a cilantro in there, and I just planted some bush beans, even though this is August. It says 45 days to harvest, and so I knew I had hopefully, if October we don't get an early freeze, I can get a few of the bush beans, green beans. So let's look on into the greenhouse and see what's happening in there. It can be tough in here to really get a view because it's cramped space, but you'll notice up there the tomatoes are starting to go through the roof. But this one over here is Early Girl and full of tomatoes, doing gorgeous. I have a climbing zucchini that I had meant to move here. I did not, but I weaved it up in there. This was supposed to be the black cherry tomato. And let me see if I can zoom you down here to these little tomatoes on it. And they're not getting that distinctive dark black cherry coloring, but they are delicious, so I'm not going to complain. But the name of it was black cherry, and in the picture it showed them being a dark color. So over here is, look at these things. I'm trying to move my camera on the gimbal without, not gimbal, but on the tripod without taking it off and on. But look at these. Look at these. These are ananas noir or black pineapple, and they're just gorgeous. Now I'll show you these, and then I'll show you the ones that are not in the protected greenhouse that had longer length of heat. But this area over here of this little greenhouse, my husband had started to put a greenhouse roof on it, and it still is there. I didn't remove it when I removed the plastic. And I think I need to so that these get more direct sun. But yeah, I think that hopefully they're going to ripen soon. We've had a cool August so far. It is going to be barely 81 today. And the nights have been getting down into the low 50s. So that could be what's slowing down the ripening process. Now let's turn around this direction. So there's the back of the greenhouse and the little fence area. And then over here is my cucumber. I've already gotten a couple of cucumbers. This is my small, what is it called again? Oh, green fingers Persian cucumber, delicious. You pick them small, and the skin is tender. They're crispy, juicy, sweet. They almost never get bitter. I've not had one that has gotten bitter. So, and even if it gets a little oversized, it stays sweet. So I'll take you down really close, and we can see one of my little cucumbers up close. And at the base, I'll do that in a minute, but at the base I had seeded basil. So down there you see basil, you see a volunteer viola I just left there. And there's another one of my peppers. In fact, I need to stake it up. This is a poblano. And I'm thinking everything in here, weed, it's blooming now, but everything, I don't think it gets enough sun. and it gets a little bit too much shade in here. I do have it in a protective gopher cage because the gophers do like pepper plants, so I had to be extra careful with that. So, and then there's another pepper over here. No, there's a pepper there. Sorry, pepper right there. And I think that's the natapino, but I don't see any buds or any kind of growth on it. So I don't know. I'm stepping here and I can feel some softness, like it's caving in, so I might have gopher going underneath there. But yeah, no buds on this. So as I said, it probably gets too much shade, and I probably won't get fruit from that one. But this is all a learning experience. This greenhouse is, this is the first year I'm using it. So learn, learn, learn. I am going to seed some lettuce in here, so I think I will get a long season of lettuce. It's probably perfect for that. So here is my escalator climbing zucchini, and it's doing pretty. It took it a while to take off, but again, we had that cool June. But here, look at, there's my zucchini coming. And then I'm starting to train it across here, across the wall. Is that the only little zucchini I have on there? Oh, so far, that's the only one. I had tons of the male flowers at first and no female flowers. Whoops. So I'm thankful to have that one, and we'll see how it tastes. It's my first year growing it. And on this side, you see this is beautiful little morning glories all over it, just dressing it up. Those are all volunteers. Those things will reseed rampantly. The dark purple one is Grandpa Ott, and then I think this one is Milky Way, or what's the other name? There's another one. I'll put it up if I see it, if it's not Milky Way. I'm so thrilled with all the tomatoes on my early girl. And I do have a few, I have a couple of, let me get this camera around here. I have some dill that came up in here of its own volition, and so I'm letting it go. It's in between the pavers. Look at this thing, it's kind of bending it over, but that's fine. It's not in my way, and I can get around it easily. And like I said, this early girl is just full of tomatoes, so we'll have plenty there. Now I'll take you over to where the other ones are in a second. But here is, this spot back here gets shaded pretty much from the greenhouse, and right now it's just got volunteer plants coming up, and the soil has sank down, so I thought I'd get a bag of potting soil or raised bed soil, put over there and start some more lettuce. I want to start some inside because I'm going to recover the greenhouse with greenhouse planks or panels, and then I hopefully will get lettuce into the winter months. According to some meteorologist friends of friends, our winter is supposed to be as hefty or snowy and heavy as it was last year. So I'm trying to think ahead of things I can do to make it more bearable. I'm not a winter person, and last year being snowed in for months was just not exactly my thing. So, okay, here's the tomatoes that are planted out here. This is a very hot, sunny spot here next to this wall. I hesitated planting anything here because we've got to fix it. The posts that were holding it up rotted away, and yeah, it needs repair. But I know my husband's not going to get to it in the next couple of months. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and plant these here. This is another ananas noir, the black pineapple, and you can see how much smaller the tomatoes are on it and how much smaller the plant is. Now these were planted out here when the others were planted in the greenhouse, but again, we had a cold June, so the ones in the little greenhouse had the advantage of more heat because the greenhouse retained heat. Now this one, I'm not sure what it is. I had the markers out here and all of them got kind of moved. And so I'm not sure, but it's still a healthy plant. Plenty of buds. I don't see any tomatoes on that one yet. This one over here, look at these blooms. I'm hoping this is my, boy, those blooms are big. I'm hoping that's my beefsteak, because the one in the greenhouse that is the cherry tomato, that was supposed to be a beefsteak and it's not. So, and then this one, I think this one's another early girl here. And then I planted some sunflowers out here. I seeded them and they're coming up. I didn't know that one got inside the cage with that. I just put the cages up. I was just gonna support the tomatoes with these little trellises, and that wasn't working to my satisfaction. So I went ahead, and though they're not pretty, these cages do the best job at supporting tomatoes. So I went ahead and put them up. Now I'm gonna go across this way so you can see the back side where my peppers are of that raised bed, and then the marigolds are to the back. But yeah, here's the peppers back here. They do have more buds on them than the others. But like I said, they're getting a little bit too much shade. And here's another cherry. This is another black cherry tomato. And you see it's just going all rampant, but it doesn't have any ripe fruit on it. But it is catching up, and it was planted the same time as that one inside of the little greenhouse. So that's how my DIY greenhouse is coming along. And my ideas for it, you know, this is the test year, first year of having it here. And for what I wanted it to do, which was to get earlier fruit from my tomatoes and other hot, you know, weather plants like the zucchini and the cucumber, it has worked. Now, I didn't plant any of the cucumbers outside of it. Well, I did. I did along the back fence line, but it was shaded. That one was shaded by other plants, so it didn't really get taken off until now. Oh, wait a minute. There's a hummingbird on my crocosmia. Oh, she flew away. So there you have it, my friends. The update on the DIY greenhouse and how it's coming along. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and or share with your friends. And come on back, I will have a new video soon.